Adam Cortez is a strategist and systems creator for both business owners and leaders ready to take control of their lives. He has dedicated his business to supporting and creating powerful changes in his clients' lives so they can have the time and energy they need to be the badass leaders they are capable of. With nearly a decade of experience in business and his connections in Silicon Valley, he started DKM Coaching. The success of DKM allowed Adam to develop strong connections to the startup world as well as prominent leaders in various industries. This is awesome. Adam has the unique benefit of being a business owner for nearly half of his life, starting his first IT business at the age of 14 and selling his 2 companies by the time he graduated from high school. His clients receive the best lessons from his experiences of entrepreneurship, which he infuses into his trainings and mentoring programs. Currently, Adam's primary focus is leadership development, organization, and accountability. He values his role to inspire his clients to become more successful by understanding their limits while also expressing gratitude for the personal journey they are on. Adam strives to make a meaningful difference not only in the lives of business owners, but also with those leaders who are ready to make an impact and take control of their dynamic lives. Adam, are you ready, brother? All right, let's bring the heat, baby. You are now live on the air. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for taking time out of your schedule, and you're up to big things and impacting a lot of people's lives, man. Super grateful to have you here. And before we get started, I guess let's get started and have some fun, but I want to hear about your journey, about what got you to today. You mentioned selling some companies and being successful, being a business owner half your life. Tell us more about that.
Yeah. So I started when I was a sophomore, right? In the story earlier, that's kind of who I am. My dad owned his own business. My mother was a teacher, and in our roots, education and entrepreneurship was really just kind of the foundation of what we grew up on. And so when I got into high school, I started my first company when I was a sophomore, doing IT work. And then slowly it morphed into web development. And so I started a web development firm. And I got to college, and when I got to college, I just kind of went, this is not for me. I'm not meant for this. There's something more already calling, and this is a step back. So I dropped out my sophomore year, and I ended up starting a new company again, got my own business coach and personal coach, and opened up a new web development firm that turned into a marketing agency. And then we figured out that we were really coaching the entire time, and we switched our model to what we do today.
Wow, beautiful. And tell us a little bit more about what you do today. What is it that you help entrepreneurs do?
Yeah, so we work with startup companies from very early on, from like day one of inception, like I have a great idea, what do I do next? Which is usually where they all start, and all the way to their Series B, Series C round of funding. And we like to kind of talk about them in seed rounds or the rounds that they're in, because it allows for them, it means they have a budget. And they'll actually qualify themselves out of not needing coaching based off of their budget and where they think they sit. And so we like to tell them, no, wherever you're at is the right place for you to talk to us now. So we work with a wide range of levels as far as where they sit, and we'd like to take them all individually and go, you are where you are right now. We love to help you just get to that next step. What is that next step that you need to get to, and how can we take a look at what you're up to, and how can we make a positive impact with you, your organization, the people you work with, and the people you surround yourself with.
Wow. I love that, because it's really like, hey, come as you are. We accept you, we love you, we appreciate you. No matter if you feel like you're failing or you're on top of the world, we want to create a conversation with you. We want to build a relationship with you, and there's nobody too small or too big for us to start helping and grow your company kind of thing. I love that.
Yeah. They all come in different walks of life, and they don't know what they don't know, and that's kind of the scary part. And so they walk into us going, well, we think we know everything. We might not know some things, but I think we got a good handle on it. And so when we start talking to them, really pulling out information of where they currently stand, there's a clear like disconnect of like you're not ready. It doesn't mean you can't get there, but at this moment, like you're not ready to put yourself in front of an investor that's going to give you $500,000 to $10 million.
Right.
And so, how do we prep you? How do we make sure that you're ready? You feel confident and feel that you've done all that you can, so that when you are presented with that opportunity, that you're just going to kill it, right? That you're going to do the absolute best work that you can put forward. And yeah, and just really own that power that they're in, because it's a power play. It's a new way of being for them. A lot of them come out of the space of being an engineer or being someone else's employee, and so for them, it's really finding that ownership of power and being okay in their own body, of being like, I'm a badass leader. Like,
Yes.
I can do this shit. Like,
Yes.
this is amazing.
Yes. That's awesome. So you basically transform people, maybe they're already on top and they're already kicking butt, but for some people that they might have issues with self-confidence or self-worth, or, thinking that they are some way and that they're stuck that way. And you say, listen, who do you want to be, or what do you want to achieve? Okay, you want to achieve massive success. Well, this is the type of person that you need to develop yourself into to be attractive to investors and people who want to invest money into you.
Exactly. And it's right. And there's some give and take in that too, right? Like the other thing that comes up, like with investors, right? It's like a game of golf, right? We're gonna teach you how to play a game of golf. So stand up straight, back out, shoulders, in whatever position. You're gonna do this, 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 and this.
That's the physiology,
like,
right? Yeah.
and then you're like, well, I forgot like the first three things, and you go and swing, and everything else got screwed up, right? So, talking to investors is kind of that way, right? Because you get everybody telling you to do this and that and this and this and this, and then by the time you're like there, you're like, oh my god, what do I do?
What was I supposed to say again?
Yeah, I totally forgot what my spiel was, right? Like, and it's so like, and you see the glare. Like, I was at a we sponsor UC San Diego, one of their incubators, and we were just there a couple weekends ago.
Wow.
And you can see some of the fear in these students' eyes of like, oh shit, I totally forgot what I was. Oh man, I forgot what I was gonna say. And it's because they're trying to do everything. They're gonna be poised, and they're gonna own power, and they're gonna do this, and then they get there and they're like, and I forgot the words.
Yep. That's what happens, but that's why people have coaches like me, like you, man, to help us stay focused and to create the practices, the disciplines, the ability to change our state in an instant, right? To be able to get into state, be able to get into, all right, it's time to perform. There's nothing that's going to derail me. I'm laser freaking focused. And that's something that you teach people, especially with today's topic about being in alignment. So tell us more about this whole alignment concept, man.
Yeah, so it comes back, the way that we start with our clients, and we always, even when they're not our clients, when we're just talking to them, one of the first things we always talk about it is your reason why. And the concept, Fred, evolves, and a lot of coaches usually start there, right? It's what's your compelling why, your one reason, your ultimate goal. And so the way that we come about it has definitely morphed as a company. And the way that we work with our clients is really starting that conversation of like, well, why are you doing this? And usually they give you that answer of, well, I want to be a millionaire, or I want to change the world, or I want to end suffering, or like, right? They have this very like broad view.
Yes.
And what we break it down to is like, what brings you to that conclusion? Because most of the time isn't that first answer they give us, right? It's always something deeper. There's a deeper meaning. There's a root. There's it just gets, it's very deep because we're so afraid to show emotion as beings. And so we have to really, pull out that information. And so it's one of our core beliefs that you need to know why you're doing anything in life. And so Where I'm taking that, I don't know.
Well, it's like to be in alignment with that higher goal, right? To be like, how do you get into alignment with that, or how do you create that? How do you start that?
Yeah, yeah. And so so like our clients, when they're up on the podium and they're talking about their why or their story, a lot of startups like skim over that, right? I'm going to pick on someone really quick that I just worked with yesterday. We went through their pitch deck and there was no why in it. There was no story. And one of the things I said right away is like, you need to put your story in. Like, why did you guys create this? What brought you? What was the pain point that brought you to want to do this? And it's so important. That's what pulls on the investors' heartstrings, right? Investors aren't just about money. They want to make sure that it's going towards something good, right? We're seeing a lot of companies in spaces that are doing, tremendous work on the world, on humankind, with people, really changing lives. It's not just the next widget that's going to come out that's going to do, whatever little thing. It's really centered around like, how can I make people's lives more impactful, more enriched, and better lived. And so that's what these investors are looking for. So if your story's not in there, if your why isn't attached to it, it falls through the cracks. And that's on a very early level, right? We look at companies that are later stage that are hiring employees that are, already have these rounds of funding, and money is no longer an issue. Money is always an issue, but right, for them, money isn't an issue now.
Right.
And they're working with
isn't the issue.
It isn't the issue, right?
Yeah.
Sales is always going to be there, push on sales.
Right.
But their employee base and what, the people that they have, especially early on when you first hire your first 20, 30 employees, they come to you because they're aligned with your mission and your vision and that reason why and that story. They feel it. And so if you start to drift from that, if you start to not hold that alignment true, your employees feel that. And if they feel that, then their productivity goes down, their accountability goes down. They are no longer interested in the work. They stir the pot of shit and go and make everyone's lives work in the environment that they're in, right? So you get more of the gossip, you get the toxic energy, you get all of that starts to build up in your ecosystem, right? And so for you as a company, as an organization, to stop that, if your why was just written and then like stapled onto the wall and forgotten about, like that's a tell sign that employees are going to start to just kind of drift away from or leave or find a new place because they're no longer in alignment with what you guys said you were all about, right? So we work a lot with companies just on that piece. Like, we'll work with the employees, and when we start working with the employees, the reports we give back is, X, Y, and Z people say that they started because, they felt that, or you told them that your dream was about education and changing the world of education. And somehow you got into like these business things and some things happened, and now you're completely like, we don't even see education as part of your company, like this bigger picture. And so they're not in alignment anymore. And so that's why they're disappearing. And then now it's up to the organization to be like, oh, that's right. Like, do we go back to that, or do we make a conscious decision that this is where we're going to change?
The new direction.
Wow. And it's very important later on in later stage companies, right? We start looking at Series B and C and D, E, F, right? You go down the alphabet where there's these bigger and bigger numbers, right? They just dangle in front of these companies. There's a great book out there called Mission Drift, and it talks about this on a nonprofit charity level for religious schools and entities, but it's very true in the for-profit world too, where if there's a big enough carrot dangled in front of you and the investor says, well, we'll give this to you, but you need to change this wording here, we don't align with that, and then take this out, and you're like, And now as the organization, you need to make a decision like, does that sit with your values? Is that really there in your core? Or is it not? And we turn the offer down and go somewhere else. And so what we're seeing on a bigger scale, right, with a lot of companies that we talk to, is they're really cherry picking who they talk to on the investment side, right? Who is the important person that they're going to go to that aligns with their mission and vision? It's no longer just about who has the bigger checkbook. It's really like, how do we align with them as founders and entrepreneurs and what our story is, and does that sit well with them? And so when you're in those negotiations, are you talking about, I want to save lives of bicyclists, right? That making up a company. And, over the past X amount of years, so many cyclists have died because of roadside collisions. It's going to be a great company someday, and I'm just making it out of nowhere. And the investor that you're talking to is a cyclist, and he's done, all these amazing things, and he knows the dangers of cycling, and he knows the numbers of people that have died, and it's a part of his life, right? That's who you're going to talk to as a company, and those, right? You're always going back to that alignment, always going back to that why and that mission. So in I know I kind of bounced around here, but everything that you do as a company, every little piece, every little move you make, every pivot, every change has to go back to, is it in alignment with what we started? And if it's not, that's okay, but you're making a conscious decision not to.
Wow. So it's being aware. Sounds like first is being aware, like what is the why, and then making sure that that's all the decisions are being made from there. And some companies may have already started drifting. Some startups or companies may have already started drifting from that. And like you said, they just staple it up on the wall, and that's our why. But they don't eat, sleep, and breathe it, which causes the company, the employees to start to, not be as satisfied or as fulfilled, and potentially could lead to them going to other places. But also when a company is in alignment and things are working in harmony with that, another pitfall is, dude, we just need some freaking money. And then they just go for the first investor that they can find, and that ends up sabotaging or sacrificing some of those values for that money, and that could ruin the whole thing.
Yeah, right. It's a deck of cards. And then, when you're talking about a company that has had, let's say, multiple investments, are the other investors in alignment with that new take on, right? So these are very deep conversations that go on in the boardroom and the advisory room, right? Like it's a conversation that has to come up and really go, if we take this money, what does this look like? If we do this thing, what does this mean for us down the road? Are we going to need to change to their vision or mission? Are we going to need to do X, Y, and Z? And so, it is being very conscious, keeping this on top of mind day after day. And so, with new companies, if you start with that, if you're very clear, if this is written in stone and you are eat, sleeping, and living by it, right? It makes a huge difference, right? And then it doesn't just translate into work, it translates into your life, right? So, let's go personally for a little bit. Like my mission and vision for my company was founded off of education. And, right, some people are like, really? You dropped out of college? I think higher education is flawed, and I think things need to change. And I think coaching and mentors and apprentices are coming back into replace what a lot of higher education is doing. But our mission was founded on teaching and educating and being a part of a student's life from high school to the rest of their lives, like to always be learning. And so for me, I eat, breathe, and sleep that. Like education is important. It's why we partner with universities. It's why we partner with high schools. It's why we bring on, students into the organization to really look at what we're doing and how to point out the flaws and talk about how we can grow as a company through students' eyes, like really giving them the opportunity to be a part of something they may not be a part of. And so that translates into my normal life of, this year my goal is to read 100 books that have transformed other people's lives, of, taking classes and always growing, of becoming, getting certified as a coach, to, right, all of these things for me is to personally develop and grow myself. And so it's always going back and checking, our own pulse of like, oh, what's our ultimate goal? What's our why? And how do we always continue to implement in both work and back at home, and making sure that both sides are, not at odds with each other.
Yeah. Yeah. It's critical. It's like, if you want to live a whole complete in integrity life, the workplace and how we're passionate about that, it's going to match like who we are at home. There's some people at like seminars and stuff, who they are up on stage is like kind, loving person, and they get off stage and they're a completely different person. And that's like totally doesn't work. And I love how you invite in the students to see, hey, this is who I am in the business. Please give us feedback. We would love your eyes, your fresh eyes, your new perspective. And also, like, I want to be a mentor. I'm committed to being a mentor to you. And that often looks like people, the boundary moving outside of just the workplace into personal lives. Mentoring an apprentice, that's like a very personal relationship where it's often taken outside into our personal lives. So that's awesome, man.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it's fulfilling, right? And I think that's what we have to do. We have to find things that, that bring us joy, that spark joy in our lives, right? One of my partners that we work with, her thing is really always finding things that spark joy. And so, really looking at that and finding what really matters is super important. And it's not, physical. It's not an item. It's not this tangible piece. It's the emotional. It's the one of the pieces when we talk about when we get into goal setting, right, is one, tying it back to your why, but really talking about how does it make you feel when you achieve that goal. Like if your goal was to lose, again, because it's easy, lose 20 pounds or 30 pounds, how is that going to make you feel? Well, it's going to make me feel on top of the world. It's going to make me feel lighter. It's going to make me feel X, Y, and Z. And then we start, decompacting or uncompressing that and like going deeper and going deeper. And then how do we find other things in lives that make us feel those things, that gratification, and always going back to those? And how do we constantly, seek out things that are good for us that make us feel a certain way? So yeah, it's an interesting process. It really is an interesting process.
Beautiful, man. So I had a question about being in alignment in terms of people, if they're an entrepreneur or, they let's say they are getting clear, they're working on getting clear on their why, as an organization or as an individual. Do you have any exercises like that other than just saying, what's your why, or like what's important to you? Do you have a specific set of questions or anything like that you ask?
Yes, okay. Is the easy answer. Yes, and next question. The why questioning and how we really get to where they're at. It comes from asking about their lifestyle and talking about their past life and what's been going on for them, and asking questions of, what was the reason why you did this? And so we piece it together until it sounds good, and then let them sit on it, right? It's not perfected overnight. It's not something that, and it doesn't have to be set in stone. It can change, and that's okay. But it is a process. It is this like process of just pulling out information and really figuring out what's important. And what's important to them at that one point is not going to be what's important to them. Let's say once they hit their goals, right? So, maybe their goal was to hit $1.2 million, and then they hit the goal. And then now what? Like, what's next? And so we constantly reassess. And it's usually not, when we get companies, a lot of times early on, it's about the money, right? It's always about we want to hit this money marker. Why?
Yeah.
Well, because da-da-da-da-da. Why? And then it comes down to, well, my daughter's really sick and is having a lot of health issues, and it's taking a toll on our family. And we really want to be able to afford to take her on this vacation and still have to pay all the medical bills for it. Like, there's reason for the money. Okay, well, your why is to spend time with your family and loved ones and really give them the time and energy they deserve while you're being present, right? Like, that's what's important. And so family value and family time is what their why really sits with. Yeah.
So I want to add to that because one, for everybody who's out there watching, Adam, you are dropping some massive value so far, dude, and you're totally sharing really great wisdom about why, about being in alignment. I love the education focus. So awesome. So everybody who's out there watching, I want you to type in the comment box why, WHY, right now, because it is so important. It is the foundation. It is the cornerstone. It is the keystone, the like everything that drives us. And the closer we get to understanding that and being able to articulate it and have clarity with it, the more powerful you'll be. So when you type in why, that shows your commitment to discovering that, to owning that. So type it in right now in the comment box. And then Pedalin Albert said, to live is to grow or get ready to wither. She also said, I believe, yeah, it's a woman. It's a process. That's why is so difficult for most to realize. Then their why wasn't their real why, she said. I think you were mentioning about like if they're disconnected from that kind of thing. She also said, Adam rocks. So you got
Thanks, Pedalin.
You got a fan. You got a fan.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Awesome. And then Laura typed in why and thank you. So Laura, great job. Way to play it 100%. I love it. And then the other thing I wanted to mention is, for me, I know what we do at Burn Up Coaching, or what I've done in the past, is ask people, what are the moments where you were most enraged or most furious or most angry? Because it's in those moments when we're most like hurt or pissed off, that we're able to find the values that we were feeling being trespassed upon. So maybe we were watching a movie and we got pissed off because something happened in the movie. We're like, how dare he, or how dare she? Or we're reading a book or we're listening to a song and it just gets us like furious. Or think to the times where you felt like you were on cloud nine and amazing. What were those incredible times where you were most uplifted and fulfilled? And we can actually look back onto our life and look at the patterns to see, what is it that drives us?
Yeah. And to that point, right? So I actually, I posted the other day, I'm angry, I'm pissed, I'm whatever. I think I posted something like that, and get this reaction from people. They're like, oh, suppress it, oh, this and that. And I think like that's the worst advice you can ever give.
Yes.
You let the emotion come up, let the anger, the fear, the resentment, and feel it, own it, take pride in it, and let it process through your body so that you can feel where it comes from, right? So back to your point of like, going through that process of knowing where it is and going through that checklist. What we've noticed though with a lot of clients is some of them, because they're so suppressed, right? They've been so suppressed, they don't even know. They don't even know what makes them happy. They don't even know what makes them sad or enraged.
Right. They're so disconnected and numb.
Yeah, and it's just it's our society. And so they don't even know what the feeling really is. And then when you try to get them to connect the dots, they're like, wait, what? What do you mean connect the dots? Right? And so I actually had this conversation with my friend the other day. We were having lunch and we were talking about, me being angry. And then I'm like, well, it's associated with this and it's associated with that, which comes back to this relationship, which is associated this, which comes from this bigger thing, which I know this is where it's coming from. She's like, wow, you actually like can connect the dots. I go, yeah, I'm aware of where things are going.
Mm.
Now it's the what's next,
Mm.
right? How do we take that? How do we take
Redirect
those
it.
emotions and
Yeah.
redirect it into something?
Positive, constructive.
Uh, yeah, and I don't want to use the word positive so much, but
Mm-hmm.
more of the constructive of like, how do we learn from it, and how do
Mm-hmm.
we either change
Mm.
our way of doing things, or how do we make our lives different based off of that information,
Right.
right? So there's, um,
Turn.
yeah, it's
It's like
super interesting.
turning it into wisdom.
Yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
right. And as coaches, it's kind of funny because we have these moments with ourselves of like, oh man, I'm doing this thing, right? That like shame of like, oh, I know I shouldn't be doing this. Damn, I shouldn't be this way. And then it's a learning moment, right?
Yeah.
It's a learning moment for you, but then it's something that you can teach
Mm.
later on to a client, right? When they're going through that process. So I know for me, and I'm assuming for you, a lot of the things that we take and that we do, and the mistakes and the failures and the screw ups, and like we take them back as learning experiences back to our clients as like, yeah, we've been there, or this is, everyone goes through this, and this is how you can learn from it.
Yep. Yep. Exactly. Exactly. And then Peter Lynn said, "We're friends and colleagues." And I guess on your post, she said, I said, enjoy it when you were feeling that anger, when you're feeling those emotions on the post that you wrote. And then she said, Chris, holy cow, that's one big ratio of water. She was talking about my gallon jug over here. I love it. I love it. Got to stay hydrated. Yes, 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 yes. So
Yeah.
how does alignment show up in our culture, or is there a specific space that you see it showing up where you have you coached anybody on alignment recently, or is there a specific instance that you can think of that people need to walk away with, like how to get back into alignment, or how to shift their alignment, or how to deal with that?
Yeah. So one of the we actually had this client recently.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you the story about this client we had.
Mm-hmm.
They had two fundamental problems with these two employees. And the person came to me and said, we want to fix this issue with said employees. Our board is just ready to fire them. Like that's what it's coming down to. We're just going to let them go. But we'd love to figure out, is it worth investing some more time in, really understanding where they're coming from.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were actually we did an accountability program with them, which our program is super simple. I mean, it's no frills. It's nothing. It's a phone call for 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
There's like 5 fundamental questions we ask. And it's really just to pull out really what they're grateful for, their gratitude, and what's going well and what's not going well, and kind of breaking down that process with them quickly. And so they don't really have time to sit in their shit, right? Like a lot of people want to go into the therapy session, and it's like, no, it's not a therapy session. It's a quick and dirty, like give us the information.
Right.
And what we learned over 3 months from these two employees was really telling of the culture that was growing and what had changed. And with them, what we really learned was that one of them was amazing. She was just a great employee, and what she needed from management was the check-ins, the hey, how's it going? How can we support you? How can we be a better management team for you so that you can excel and grow and change and be the leader you want to be, right? And we're talking about this is only a 20-person organization, very small, and so people have multiple roles within the organization, and then. And so that's all she needed. She needed just that little touch points, and literally someone to come in 20 minutes a day, or once a week for 1 day a week, to just be like, hey, I see you. I hear you. And it made all the difference, right? So they actually did a campaign. They did a campaign, and they raised, I think, about $1.2 million. They were able to raise, with like total and 100% support from that one person that was really just needed that little touch point. And what it showed for management was that management was getting overwhelmed and not being able to really connect to anybody that was around them. And so from upper management and the board, it was, okay, well, we really want to take care of our people. It's very important to us. How do we do that now? How do we make sure that that is number one, right? Like that is absolutely the number one thing, is to take care of the people that work for our organization. Because if we don't have them, we have nothing, right? So taking in priorities. And the second employee we worked with had started with the company from day one. And what we found from her was on the complete opposite end. She had felt betrayed and felt that the organization had completely changed their values and their mission and their drive, and that had betrayed somebody back in the day before the person that was there now was even there, right? Like these were just so old wounds.
Wow.
That she was creating this toxic energy, this toxic flow around her. And they ended up letting her go because it was, one, it was going to be a big investment from the company to like fix, to support, and to help, and really, right, there was some deeper wounds there that as an organization they just are not capable of handling. But then it changed the atmosphere of the company, like immediately that toxicity was gone. And so they were able to really look and address again back to that mission and vision, because now it was apparent, like, oh, we need to look at this again. Like we really need to like figure out that this is coming down from the top down to our employees, knowing that we really give a shit. Like we care about them. We want things to work with them. And so now it's not just stapled on the wall. It's part of their letterhead. It's part of the conversations that they start every day. It's, they walk into the room and there's a great big sign of, what their goals are and what their vision is for the world. And so they're eat, breathing, and sleeping this, and it's made such a positive change. And it's not just on the employee end, it's who they talk to, it's who they engage with. Now the employees are happy and proud to say, we work with X company, we do this great work, we're doing, like, you need to hear about us. Like if you haven't heard of us yet, like you really need to know about what we're doing, because it is just so damn amazing.
Wow.
Right? And so that context just shifts. And, and that starts back from the beginning of that, what did the founders do on day one when they sat around the table and said, hey, I got this great idea. How do we make this work?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And that's where it starts. It's really, it's some powerful stuff. Even this one isn't a client. I was working with a friend over the weekend, and they've been an organization for 20 years, and they're a nonprofit. And, we do some nonprofit work, but they're based in education. And that's what we worked on too. We worked on their mission, vision, and the reason why. And it's tough. It's tough work when you're looking at a nonprofit side, because they pour their heart and soul into it, right? This is their baby, and founders feel this way too. This is their baby. And now we're going to sit there and pick it apart piece by piece and dissect it. And so there's this level of like, how do we create a safe space? How do we make sure that there's a container that they're able to feel that they can be open and share the emotion and share the, what's coming up for them, and also give them as a community, as a group that's sitting at this table, give them the support they need to make bigger impact and grow and change, and make sure that their mission and their why is now seen across the board from everybody in the organization, so that they can find more investors or more donors and find more clients that they can serve, right? Like, how can they do so much great work, right? Which is what so many startups do. They do just great work. But how do we talk about it? How do we share it? How do we create something so amazing that the people in our companies can't shut up about it?
Oh my gosh, that's it, man. That's it. We have to be proud of the work that we're doing. And I know for me personally, when I worked in companies that I wasn't like really proud to be a part of, like I did door-to-door sales for Verizon for 9 months,
Mhm.
right, installing internet and phone lines, and I was like, this is not something I like am proud and passionate about representing. And I feel like Verizon didn't deliver sometimes, and it was just like when that happened, it just totally had me buy out of the company. Right, I wasn't bought in; I was
Yeah,
bought out. I was like, I'm on my way out the door. This is like not where I want to be.
yeah. You want that pride. You want
Yeah.
it, right? You walk out with your logo on your shirt or
Hmm.
whatever it is, and you're like, yeah, I work here. Like,
Yeah.
I'm proud to say that this is my home. This is my
Yes.
company.
Yes.
Because it's all trickled down,
Mm.
right? I'm staying background. I'm basically a digital nomad at this point.
Hmm.
So I'm staying at my friend's home, and they're being super gracious
That's awesome.
of what I'm doing.
Hmm.
But last night we were having a conversation because one of my friends is moving
Hmm.
jobs, and so we're talking about pros and cons of these different opportunities that are coming up. And there's actually this really great one that came up for her,
Hmm.
and the conversation we had was, what are other people saying about it? And these the people that she's talking to are raving. They're raving. They're like, their mission is so great. It's so amazing. Like, you're gonna love it. And even if you don't stay that long, like, the doors it's gonna open for you, you can't even believe.
Hmm.
And then we talk about, Facebook, Google, Apple, whatever, and they're like, it was okay. It was corporate. It was right?
Yes.
So it's like, so we're as a future employee,
Hmm.
looking in, right? What kind of environment do you want to bring to those future
Hmm.
employees? How do you want your story to represent when future employees are like, hey, we really want to go work for that company. Like, they're doing some crazy great work. Like, that's a place I can get behind
Hmm.
and show up every day and give 110%.
Hmm. Yes, yes. And P-Lin said, so you were that Verizon guy who ran away from my door screaming, no! That's funny. Maybe I was. Oh, man. So Adam, I love that. And I love how when employees are looking in, what do you want them to see? Do you want them to be excited? Do you want to see them jazzed up, like they're about to enter the best opportunity, the best time period of their entire life, or it's just another job? I think
Yeah.
especially for a startup, when you really it's like critical, it's crucial for everybody to be 110% bought in, or else you're like you're not gonna go the distance, or you're not gonna go as fast as you could, or there's gonna be that weak link in the chain of the one person who's
Hmm.
just there to collect a paycheck or whatever. And especially to start up when maybe funds are low and you might have to stretch some things and like not be able
Well,
to deliver. Yeah, good.
well, exactly, right. So, like, you have these early stage startups
Mm-hmm.
that don't have money,
Mm-hmm.
and so their employees that they have are not really employees; they're volunteers.
Mm-hmm.
You might have given them stock or whatever you can shovel up,
Right. Right.
and so for them to jump on board, they gotta feel you. They gotta be
Believe.
like, right. They gotta buy in. Like,
Yes.
they're gonna be your raving fan. They
Yes.
love you so much, right? Like, I have um, I have I have this friend that just is launching this program,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the comments that she has as a testimonial
Mm-hmm.
is this person that we all kind of know a little bit goes, it doesn't matter what this person does, you need to do it.
Mm.
Like, if she's doing something, you better sign up immediately.
That's
Like, she
awesome.
could be selling Verizon, you're gonna sign up for it,
Diapers.
right? And so, as a company, right, as a startup, as this new idea, how do you do that? How do you create that kind of momentum, right? So one is your own integrity, your own person, and like, how do you be a person that people want to be around,
Mm.
right? So it really taking a deep dive look in, but it also comes back to that story, that why, that how do you talk to people? How do you tell people what you're about and your vision and soul of this new idea is really going to be. And because that's what people are buying into, whether it's with cold hard cash or with their time. And early on, you're really asking for time. You're asking for, free time to take yourself to that next level. So you better have a damn good story.
Yep. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So, Adam, we're coming to the end of this awesome, incredible interview, and everybody out there, I'm sure you're getting massive value. Adam, you're dropping great info here. Thank you. So let people know exactly what you want them to walk away with in terms of the alignment, so that they can have the best culture possible and really create a something that they're inspired to be a part of.
Yeah. Take a hard look at what your story and what your why is. Sit down, write it out, come back to it a week later, come back to it a month later, constantly revisit, that internal dialogue with yourself of why you're doing what you're doing. Is it because you're tied to education? Is it because you're tied to, making oceans more beautiful? Whatever it is, understand why you're doing things and what that motivation is. I'm reading this great book, Man's Search for Meaning, right now. And I've read it before, and I'm reading it again. And one of the key takeaways is, what would you die for, and what would you stay alive for? And there's so much more out of that book, but it's tied to our whys. Why do we do things? Why do we want to make something so great and so impactful? So yeah, constantly take a look at that. Go back to that story.
Beautiful. I'm totally gonna go rewrite my why after this, because I'm committed to getting even more crystal clear on it. And every time we do that, it becomes more ingrained in us, and we become more attached to, like for me, Burn It Up coaching. I'll become more attached, more invested, more belief. And deepen that affinity, that love, that vision. So I think that is absolutely the best thing. Some of the best things that we can do as business owners, entrepreneurs, people who are building something special, especially from the ground up. So that's awesome. So, Adam, how can people stay connected with you, and where will they be seeing you in the future, man?
Yeah, so dkm.world is our website, and we actually are launching our podcast shortly, so we'll be doing that, having some great speakers that you guys have never heard about that are amazing and have amazing whys and stories. The other way to look for us and watch out for us is, actually, I'm going to be speaking around the U.S. and around Europe for about a year and a half. So we'll be actually in pretty much every state in the U.S., which is kind of crazy. We are just finishing up booking all of our spots. I will be posting them on our website shortly, and then same thing with Europe. But everything's going to be on our website. So much fun stuff's coming up with our company and how we're growing and making things happen with the startups that we're working with. So we're just enjoying every moment of what we're doing. So yeah.
Yes. And Peter Lynn said, why do we behave beautifully and why do we behave badly, and what do they have in common? Begins to unpack why. Unpack the why. Why do things work well and why do things not work so well? So kind of how I was mentioning earlier. So Peter Lynn, that's perfect. Yeah. So yeah, Adam, dude, you're a superstar, man. I'm so excited to see what the future holds for you. We're both like young, up and coming superstars, and we're gonna transform the world, man. And it's because of this relationship to our why, and that's what drives us. And people are like, what does Adam have? Like, what does Chris Burns have? It's because we put in the work, because we've refined our why and what's important to us and what is meaningful to us. And I think that you are I know that you are the demonstration of that. You are the walking example. So thank you for bringing that conversation here and keep spreading it, man. The world needs your light, man.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Yeah. Awesome, dude. Hope to have you back on the show in the future, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks.
All right. Take care, Adam.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Woohoo! Awesome. Another epic interview. If you are enjoying that, type in enjoy in the comments right now. ENJOY, enjoy. I love you guys. We are about to be done with the first portion of this marathon. Woohoo! we're 4 hours in. We're a third of the way through, meaning we're about to start the next segment. And this is actually the time where I get to use the restroom because Facebook only allows you to record 4 hours straight at a time. Otherwise, I would go all 12 hours without using the restroom, of course, right? Right? So I will be right back. I love you. Thank you for tuning in. And remember why we do this? Because ideas matter. The why. The why is an idea. That's a worthy and wonderful idea. The why. So Adam, great job. Jason, we'll be back in a couple minutes. I will be right back. I love you guys. Adam, you rocked it. That was awesome, Jason. It totally